Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Alexander Povetkin's team says there's no point in fighting Dillian Whyte. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, this just in, some very interesting news. Ivan Kerpa, who's the trainer of heavyweight gold medalist Alexander Povetkin, says he doesn't see any point of fighting Dillian Whyte. Now, if you guys follow the channel, you'll know that Dillian Whyte recently knocked out Lucas Brown. David Price got knocked out by Alexander Povetkin. And Dillian Whyte was in attendance for the David Price-Alexander Povetkin fight, which was on the card of Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker. Dillian Whyte did some interviews post-fight calling out Alexander Povetkin, and I believe Eddie Hearn mentioned a possible Povetkin versus Whyte fight. This is what Povetkin's trainer said. Alexander Povetkin will be mandatory for Anthony Joshua, but I've got another heavyweight who wants to fight Povetkin in June if he wants it. And he was talking about Dillian Whyte. That's what Eddie Hearn says. So he's acknowledging the fact that Povetkin is a mandatory. This is what Povetkin's side said. He said Alexander Povetkin has already boxed with someone else, and for some reason, when he wins in style, the conversations begin to have him fight Takam, David Price, and someone else was offered, but not a champion. Povetkin is already the mandatory challenger for the title, and he's given quite a dangerous opponent in the face of David Price. Despite this, Alexander agrees, although many in the situation would prefer to wait for the title shot. Alexander defeats David Price, and then they say that he doesn't need to fight with Joshua, but let's fight again, this time with Dillian Whyte. I do not see the point of doing this fight at this stage of Alexander Povetkin's career, although the promoters and Alexander himself will decide this. That's from Team Povetkin. So, this is funny, man. New media is absolutely on fire. With Povetkin's team saying this, new media style, Ego's Army, stand up. My question is this: what happened to all the fans who said that Dillian Whyte, who challenged Deontay Wilder as a challenger, he called him out publicly, I guess you could say, and says, hey, he didn't come to Cardiff, Wales because he heard I was coming, right? What happened to all the fans that said Deontay Wilder is ducking Dillian Whyte, the champion, WBC champion, the only other guy right now at heavyweight other than Anthony Joshua with any belt? They said he was ducking because he was trying to fight Joshua, a guy who knocked out Dillian Whyte, right? And I like Dillian Whyte, but these are facts, right? Joshua, as a pro, which counts, you know what I mean, no headgear or nothing, he knocked out Dillian Whyte. And the WBC champion wants to fight the only other guy for a good payday, career payday for both of them, who has all the other belts. And people said that Deontay Wilder is ducking against Dillian Whyte. So once again, why is Povetkin's team kind of brushing Dillian Whyte off also? They said, hey, we took David Price. We were already the mandatory. We took him. That was a dangerous fight. Other people wouldn't have taken the fight. And he knocked us down. We took the dangerous fight. We win in splendid fashion. And then they throw out another name who's not a champion, not Anthony Joshua, but instead Eddie Hearn's talking about Dillian Whyte. So once again, I want to hear from all the people that said Wilder was ducking Dillian Whyte, and you have Povetkin, who their team is saying the same thing. They said, we're not really worried about Dillian Whyte. We're trying to go after Joshua because they're the mandatory. Now, if someone has first dibs, I'm not the smartest brother in the world, but I would say it would probably be the bigger fight, the unification for undisputed, as opposed to a mandatory. You get what I'm saying? So Wilder really deserves that Joshua fight. And if Joshua doesn't fight Wilder for whatever reason, then he'll probably fight Gerald Miller or take care of the mandatory, which is Alexander Povetkin. But once again, I find it mighty funny that when Wilder says he's not really worried about Dillian Whyte, even though he said, I'll fight Dillian Whyte if you put Anthony Joshua's name on that contract. The walls are closing in, people. Now you have the mandatory challenger, Alexander Povetkin, who is the mandatory for the WBO that Joshua just acquired, and the WBA. And his team, Povetkin's team, is saying, we're not really checking for Dillian Whyte. So are you guys going to say Povetkin is ducking Dillian Whyte? Everybody wants the top dog. Everybody wants the belts. Everyone wants the title shots. And if these guys worked their way to the rankings, or they're a champion themselves like Wilder, then I think that's a good reason to want or feel you're worthy to challenge Anthony Joshua. You know what I mean? So it's not looking good for all the detractors, all the people who said, oh, you're just hating, and they're screaming that Wilder is ducking Dillian Whyte, because now you would have to say the same logic to Alexander Povetkin, because his team is saying, I don't see the point in fighting him. You know what I mean? The trainer's like, I don't see the point in fighting Dillian Whyte. But ultimately, it's up to Alexander Povetkin and his promoters what they decide. World of Boxing, I believe, is his promoter. So that excuse, another one, bites the dust. I will say this: if Wilder and Joshua fight next, then Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin would be a good fight. You know what I mean? That'd be. It's not that it's a bad fight. It's just what happened to the ducking. You know what I mean? Put that on the co-main event: Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin on Wilder Joshua. But I do think Joshua and Wilder needs to happen. Wilder definitely, just because he has the belt and it's the biggest, most sought after fight, he should have first dibs over a mandatory challenger. So if Team Joshua I told you guys the walls are closing in. If Team Joshua decides that instead of fighting Wilder because they couldn't agree in the negotiating room, you know what I mean, instead of fighting Wilder, that they're going to fight Gerald Miller, or they're going to take up their mandatory, which a unification would supersede a mandatory, then that just lets me know that Eddie Hearn or Anthony Joshua or Team Joshua, they didn't want to fight Wilder next. Let me know what you guys think. Povetkin's team says they don't, his trainer saying, I don't see why would we even fight Dillian Whyte. So it's not looking good for Dillian Whyte to get his big marquee fights, because I don't think it's that people are ducking Dillian Whyte, you know what I mean? Because it's a guy. Why would you duck a guy who's been stopped? Povetkin got beat by Klitschko, but he didn't get stopped. Wilder's never been stopped. So, and they're heavyweights. They're all fighters. I don't think you get in this profession by and large just to be ducking everyone. But I do think that they feel they have bigger fish to fry. Let me know your thoughts. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.